Hi, haven't done a video in a while, but I was kind of reading this morning and I come across a couple of paragraphs and I just really feel like I should read them, and then I have a little bit I want to say about them. Anyhow, it's Luke 13. In the title of the paragraph it says, "Repent or perish." And beginning in verse 1 it says, "And some were present with him at that very time, reporting to him about the Galileans, whose blood Pilate mixed with their sacrifices. Then he said to them, 'Do you suppose that those of Galilee were greater sinners than all the others of Galilee, because they have suffered these things? No, I say to you, but unless you would all repent, you will all likewise be destroyed. Or those 18 upon whom the tower in Siloam fell, and it killed them, do you suppose that they were worse sinners than all the people who were dwelling in Jerusalem? No, I say to you, but unless you would all repent, you will all likewise be destroyed.'" And then it goes, without the subject changing or anything, it goes into another paragraph that's titled "The Parable of the Fig Tree, the Barren Fig Tree." And this is what I found really interesting, because these two paragraphs go together. Because they were saying in the other one, were these people that got killed, were they more sinners than anyone else, that this would happen to them? Like it says the 18 upon whom the tower in Siloam fell, and down below it says Siloam was adjacent to Jerusalem, and the base of a dovecote was discovered there in 1913. A dovecote was usually 12 to 20 feet high. So that's what fell on them 18 men. And so he's asking, were they worse sinners because this happened to them? And we ask ourselves that all the time when something bad happens. Is it because I sinned, or did I do something wrong that this horrible thing has happened to me, or this death in our family, or this terrible thing has happened, But it goes right into the next paragraph, and it says, "And he was saying this in a parable. Someone had a fig tree planted in his orchard, and he came seeking fruit on it, but he did not find any. So he said to the gardener, 'See, for 3 years I have been coming looking for fruit on this fig tree, and I have not found any. So why does it use up the ground? Therefore you must now cut it.' And he said to them, 'Sir, you must permit it just this year, until I shall dig around it, and I would put fertilizer on it, and see if indeed it makes fruit in that year. Then if it does, you can cut it.'" So what I find interesting, it's like the answer to why these things happened. It's like he went right straight into the answer that I've never really saw before. But he's saying all these years he went to the fig tree and it was barren. It wasn't bearing any fruit. And he said it's just taking up ground. So to me it was kind of an answer to what happened to these other people. They were just taking up space. They weren't bearing fruit. And for us, and for me myself, that's what I get out of it, is that you have to be bearing fruit, and if you're not bearing fruit, you're just taking up space. And so maybe that's why things happen to people, because it says that it rains on the just and the unjust at the same time. But at the same time, he's saying here, it's using up the ground, so therefore you must cut it down. And any tree or any plant bears fruit after its own kind. So in this case it was a fig tree, and a fig seed or whatever was planted, and a fig tree grew, but it wasn't bearing fruit, so he said cut it down. And so for us, we are the seed, from the seed of Yeshua, and so we should be bearing fruit after his kind, just like a tree bears fruit after its own kind. And so we should be bearing fruit just like him. We should be acting like him, being like him. And if we're not, it says in many places, take the axe to the root. So if we're not bearing fruit, we're taking up space. And the fruit we're supposed to be bearing is we're supposed to be Christ-like in making many more disciples. So I don't know. That's just what I got out of it this morning, and I hope that it spoke to you to start bearing fruit. Don't just let the ground you're walking on be a waste. Don't let your life be a waste.